Good morning. I'm Scott Clark,
I'm Peggy Hurson.
and we are coming to you from the coffee shop.
Ooh.
And we come full circle. We're back down in Georgetown at All City Coffee from where we did one of our first episodes.
Yeah, I think it was our first non-Starbucks episode.
Right, it was our non-Starbucks episode, which is cool. This place has definitely got the Georgetown character. It's got bitchin' artwork on the walls, which is for sale.
It's
Come
true.
down here and do some last-minute Christmas shopping.
I was eyeballing a picture of an owl, but it appears to be already sold. So, yeah,
that's maybe
the blue one.
I wonder if they do prints.
Cool. I don't know. I should look on and see.
So I'd like let's give the date for for Rick, who isn't here. Rick is sick out today.
Rick is sick today.
Or overworked. I bet he's just overworked.
Probably a combination of the two. That definitely tends to happen.
So today
go ahead.
Today is December 22nd,
Ooh,
right? Am I right?
Christmas.
It is almost Christmas.
I was going to say, luckily, I never work hard enough to get myself sick.
Oh, I think I work myself up to get sick is what I do. When I end up getting sick, it's because I usually mentally break myself down.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I stress myself out over stupid shit, too. You know, it's just never, when you think about it, it's like, why was I upset about that? It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But it mattered at the time that made me sick.
Right. Totally.
But anyway, it's been a couple weeks since we've actually recorded. We recorded a couple back-to-backs. So that's why there wasn't a gap.
Yeah.
And so since then, the family and I went to Leavenworth.
Cool. I've never been to Leavenworth. And I grew up in Eastern Washington, and so people tell me that I should have gone to Leavenworth numerous times.
I ran into somebody from the Dry Shitties, actually.
Nice.
They called it that to me.
Did they really?
Yeah, they're like, where are you from? Oh, we're from Pasco, the Dry Shitties. I'm like, oh, man.
That's funny.
That's so awesome because I instantly broke the ice and I started talking about the podcast. So I was telling people from...
Were they on vacation there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't move to... Because I have friends from Kennewick that moved to Leavenworth and live there now.
No, they actually had moved from Portland to
the Tri-Cities?
Yeah.
That happens more and more now because the economy is booming in the Tri-Cities.
But they hate it.
Yeah, everyone hates it. It's the place you go to that you're like, why am I here? And then you kind of get stuck there because...
It's almost like a drunken decision where you wake up the next day, it's like, that wasn't very smart.
Well, it's funny too because some people, I actually have a really complicated relationship with the Tri-Cities because I both love it and hate it.
Right.
Because last year, Richland, which is one of the three, was number 1 or number 2 of the best places to raise a kid in terms of low crime rates, good cost of living, good schools, and job prospects or something like that. They had this matrix, and it was in one of the big magazines, and Richland was one of the top ones because it's so it is a really cool place, and even there's 3 rivers there.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of outdoorsy things, but also it sucks big time. So there's nothing there.
Else. Yeah, you run out of things to do fast. You're
and it's super conservative, and there's a lot of religious people, both LDS people and really fundamentalist Christians. It's a hotbed for people who are basically pains in the ass.
Yep.
So my
yeah.
nephew is moving. He's committed. We'll see if he does it, but I really hope he does. But he's going to move out here in a few months. We're going to get an apartment because I want to move to a bigger place.
Right,
and so I invited him out.
Cool.
And he was just telling me that my sister told, not his mom, his aunt, but my sister, told him, why would you ever want to leave the Tri-Cities? And he just was like, I don't even know how to answer that without insulting you. Right.
It's because
it sucks.
Because I would just be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really.
Because people bring him religious pamphlets at work and try to get him to come to their church at his place of business. It's the kind of place. All the time.
I would be like, I use that same line when I get religious pamphlets. I say, yeah, here, let me throw that away for you.
Yeah.
I just tell them.
But in the Tri-Cities, there's such a culture of proselyting to each other that it is teachers would invite people to church at school. And that seemed normal to me until I left the Tri-Cities, and then I was like, oh,
that's not
I
normal.
could have sued like 10 people in the Tri-Cities for like
It does sound like a
hostile
class.
work
You could actually
environments,
probably
you
get
know?
a class action lawsuit going.
I know.
For the trauma that you've suffered in the
Yeah.
Tri-Cities growing up. Yeah, that's.
But so it's one of those places though that on the other hand, like there's a lot of really fun things there, and like it's a really good place to grow up, I think. Because we went to public school and we
It
had
seems like a hippie
amazing
commune
teachers.
that went wrong.
Yeah, it's so unhippie though.
Yeah, it's not.
It's so unhippie.
Really?
Yeah, it's a Mormon colony, really. It's more like Idaho than it is like Seattle.
Okay.
Like
Well,
way
it's
more like
closer.
Boise than Seattle.
Yeah. Why? What the Mormons and they like the desert though?
They do.
They love the desert.
You know, originally that was them fleeing people murdering them.
Oh.
And so they just fled farther and farther west until they found a place nobody else wanted, and so
Where there's
nobody would
lots of
drive
rocks.
them out.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, let's do it here.
Yeah, there's lots of rocks and thorns and stuff.
And then it was hiding from the government when Utah became a state and they were all polygamists, and then the U.S. was like, oh no, you can't do that. Then it was them going into the smaller parts, trying to hide from the government until they did away with polygamy.
Yeah.
But then a lot of them just stayed in those small towns.
Because I'd like to go to Utah, but I don't know how I want to go there to snowboard. That's the only thing, and I know there's pockets.
Really good winter sports.
Yeah, there's pockets of cool stuff to do in Utah.
There are. It's weird, but Utah, like Salt Lake City, is the ugliest place on earth, in my opinion.
Really?
It's like downtown in Temple Square is the most beautiful square mile of city ever. Like, it's freaking gorgeous.
Right.
And then the mountains are really pretty, but the actual city of Salt Lake is like one big strip mall. It's
really?
Like architecturally boring. It's not like
bland.
It is so unpretty. It surprises me. But then there's like downtown is really cool. And like out, like Cedar City is awesome, which is southern Utah, and there's lots of polygamists hiding there still. And like Park City is really cool.
Right.
Even Logan, which is where University of Utah is really pretty. But Salt Lake City is just a big
really
turd.
hard? Is it really hard to find a good cup of coffee in Utah?
No, I don't. But it used to be before the Olympics. You couldn't get booze unless you belonged to a private club.
I remember
and so
that.
You had to join bars like gym memberships. Yeah.
Wow.
And they had all these rules about like you couldn't do like 1-day passes at like the private clubs that had alcohol. So you would have to like buy a year membership or whatever to your bar.
It's
but
like
then
it's like Costco.
Yeah, totally. But then when the Olympics happened, they had so much pressure to change it that now it's different. I think you still have to pay a cover to get into a bar, but it can be like a 1-day thing.
Right.
But I haven't actually. Oh, I have. Oh man, I had. When I moved to Seattle, I drove my mom's van to Seattle or to Chicago, picked up all of my stuff, and then drove it back because it was cheaper than getting a moving truck. And on my way back, I went through Salt Lake City and stopped and stayed with one of my old missionary companions, who's like my most favorite person on the earth. She's so fun.
Really?
She's Tongan. And,
oh, wow.
And it was her birthday. And so I was like, perfect, I'll time it somewhere on your birthday. So me and her and all of her like cousins, who are just like other Tongans, I don't even know how they're related. We all went
It's an island, they're all related.
Right. We went to downtown to a reggae club and got super drunk.
Wow.
Like, I'm talking like so drunk. I have never been that drunk. Because they were all like really intense partiers and went to this reggae club all night, and it was so much fun.
It kind of like it seems to make sense when you're in that kind of atmosphere and when it's so conservative, and then when you have that chance to release, it just you just blow up.
Oh yeah. Well, and like one of her cousins brought this pitcher of Everclear and Kool-Aid. It was crazy. We did like midnight, or well, actually, it was probably more like 4 a.m. waffles, and like one of the girls was just barfing in the bathroom the whole time.
Nice.
It was hilarious.
That's how you know it's a good night,
Yeah,
when somebody
and
ends up throwing up.
miraculously, I was unhungover and then drove, I think, 15 hours the next day from Salt Lake City to Kennewick and
You weren't,
made it.
it's not hungover, you just never sobered up.
No, I think I was sober.
Yeah.
And then made it back for my niece's high school graduation party. And I
Wow.
showed up like cross-eyed and I was like, I'm here.
See, okay, now try that. I mean, are you 30 yet?
I'm 35.
35, okay, I forget, okay.
I like that you forget on
Yeah.
the opposite
I don't
ends,
ever
though.
try, here's that, I learned that a long time ago, never try and guess a woman's age.
It's true.
Okay, try that, do that now in your 30s. You know what I mean?
Oh.
The
Well,
20s
this
is
was only a year and a half ago.
a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it was when I moved to Seattle.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
wait, no,
I thought you
almost
moved back
2
here.
years ago.
See, this is
I
okay.
was
This is why
33.
I'm also horrible at this. I listen, but then I forget.
Yeah, I know.
I don't
me
pay
too.
attention.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes me probably the most horrible gift giver, because I
Oh.
forget what people like, and then so
That's too bad.
That's what's that's.
I'm
probably,
not that great of a gift giver either, though. But anyway, I sometimes I'm good. I'm really good, like for certain people,
Yeah.
and for other people I'm terrible because I'm like, here you go, have
if
something.
I have to do a gift, I usually try to pick something I would like for myself.
I know, and that's where I get in trouble because not everyone likes the things that I like.
I was like, what do you mean? I like it. It's cool. What do you mean you don't like a combination screwdriver, flashlight, bottle opener, tow truck?
That sounds great to me. I like all presents because I like free stuff. And presents are essentially free stuff. And so I'm the easiest person to get a present for because I like everything.
At what point does free stuff become free crap?
I don't know, because if it's free, I'm excited about it.
Really?
As long as I didn't pay money for it, I'm like, yes. Like, I love those, fairs where you walk around with a bag and get swag.
You get the swag bags. Yeah.
I
You get
love
buttons
that.
and stickers.
Yeah.
That stuff ends up in my trunk, and then it ends up all over my trunk, and then it ends up all over something else.
I don't take things I don't want. Last time I went to one of those, though, was this 5K that I did, and it was for raising money for mental illness.
Okay.
And I got a whole bunch of reusable grocery bags, which was awesome.
Oh.
I got a belt clip for my keys,
Okay.
which is perfect for work because I have to lock everything every time I go in and out of rooms, and so I just have it like right on my belt. And I got a whole bunch of chapstick.
Oh, so it's one of those ones
like
with
a zip thing,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like a retractable. Because I have a necklace version,
Okay.
but I don't always like to wear it. So now I have two options. I can wear the long lanyard thing, or I can clip it to my belt.
Oh, cool.
So it was nice, and I got I think I got an emergency flashlight, which is probably in the trunk of my car to be used if I ever.
See, that's a good.
Yeah,
I like those
totally.
things. Those are good swag.
Yeah.
That's
But you
my.
have to cherry pick. You can't just go around and grab every dumb thing. You have to be smooth about it.
There's no happy medium in with when my wife goes, Kanita goes, and I go. And speaking of which, she's not here at all today, so she's not even here to laugh. So
she's not even silently here,
She's
but
on
you
home.
don't know she's here, which is one of the very few times she hasn't been here.
Yeah.
She's almost always here.
almost always here. She's at home baking today. Yeah,
good for her.
She made the. She said in November, I'm not baking at all. I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden, boom! She just got in the mode of baking. I didn't question. I was like, I didn't question that she wasn't going to do it, but I was like, it's only November. Why are you saying this now? You have the right, or you will change your mind. I just know how it works, and so she's been baking for the last.
Christmas baking is a quagmire, though. I enjoy that I have not ever entered into it in any way where nobody expects me to bake anything and I don't bake anything. And because my sister, of course, she owns her own home bakery, but it is an expectation that Debbie's here, we're going to get a whole bunch of awesome shit. And I've been at her house like 4 times a week for the last 2 weeks straight, and all we do is bake because she has her bakery stuff she's doing, and her Christmas stuff, and then all the stuff for her kids.
And it's a disaster.
And it's a whole she done herself and threw herself into. Because I'm like, oh, you do so much shit that you don't even need to do.
Right.
But
exactly.
you know, like some people, I don't know. Even I am the most, like, the least interested in things I'm obligated to do person you will ever meet.
Oh yeah.
Like I hold myself to zero social standards. I'm not even kidding. Like, for example, I gave Kenita a Christmas present and not Scott because I don't care. Not that I don't care about you, but like I'm like, you know what? I have something for Kenita. I'm not buying presents this year, so I'm gonna give it to her anyway because it's like, well, I'm gonna hang out with Scott and have a good time and like not worry about the fact that really like if I'm gonna give someone a present, I feel, you know, like you should feel obligated to give everyone a present.
Right.
Like, that's, you know what?
That's where I get. That's
do.
my biggest hang up on Christmas is that, you know, it's like, where's the end? You know what I mean? If you feel,
oh my gosh,
it doesn't ever end. It's like, and especially like, not to bag on my family, I have the least amount of membership in my little household than the rest of my family does.
So you have like 3 of you and then a billion of your siblings
and then so we end up the cost to intake, you know, it becomes out of control.
The balance is wrong. It's spending $100,000 on a wedding that you get $5,000 worth of presents out of. Yeah, totally.
So if you can hear right now, it's getting kind of loud, boisterous because it is Seahawks.
Oh, is it?
Game day,
Wow.
And so
this happened last time we were here too. I remember it was like super quiet when we got here, and then it got more and more busy. I'm keeping an eye on our volume though, and we're okay.
Oh, we're good. Well, because we end up, as the volume goes up, we project more.
Well, and like back on the obligation thing, like for example, she was talking about to her 12-year-old daughter about teacher presents and how she sends presents to her kids' teachers, and I was like,
for what?
I would never do that. Never in a million years would I send presents with my kids to their teacher.
I mean, what's the purpose of that? I mean,
the purpose is that all of the parents on Mercer Island do it, and so you have to do it. But you only have to do it if you care. I don't care, so I would never do that.
Well,
but now,
it also creates this competition. Like you end up like, well, what did the Joneses do? What is it's like,
and the conversation was that my niece is 12 and she's in middle school now, and so she has 6 teachers, and so Debbie didn't send presents, and she was like, well, why don't my teachers get presents? She was like, it's a little kid thing. It's elementary school.
Oh,
we don't send 6 presents for 6 teachers. And imagine if you were a teacher and you had, you know, 6 periods of classes, you would get like 500 presents. And Gracie was just like, I think we should send presents to my teachers. And I was like, I would never send a present to a single teacher ever.
No, they got their own
waste
family.
of time. Because the thing to me, like, I gave a present to a present. I made a button and then got caramels from my sister and slipped $20 in and gave it to my boxing coach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because it's like a Christmas tip thing, and he's been working with me twice a week for the last 5 months, and so
so you have
September, October, November, December, 4 months.
Right.
And so I'm like, this is a person who like really kicks ass to help me, and I appreciate it. And he makes probably nothing because I pay very little for my lessons.
Right.
And so I was like, well, this will be nice. And I thought the button was really funny.
Right.
And honestly, if I hadn't found the button funny, I probably wouldn't have given him anything at all.
Right.
But like that kind of a thing is like, well, I have my own money and I'm giving it to somebody who is helping me personally.
Right.
But like a teacher, that's very weird to me.
Yeah. Well,
I would
unless it's like a mentoring type teacher, like a one teacher,
like
but not the whole
tutoring teacher,
like not the whole staff.
Right.
You know,
totally.
Where do you draw the line?
It just seems like it's one more stupid thing that like that person, and the teacher probably really appreciates presents, but say you're the kid who doesn't give her a present, she won't even notice.
Right.
She will not notice, and then it makes you have to do something that isn't even going to be really noticed.
And then again, it's like for the poor teachers who how does that person even acknowledge all those kids, you know. And
it's just like pile your presents here, and I'm sure 90% of them are like baking stuff, and so then you just send this like 25-year-old teacher home with like 45 pounds of candy, and when that happens to me around Christmas, like you can't keep up with it, so either you overeat or you just throw it away or give it away.
Yeah, I'd give it away.
It's a total
donate it.
To me, then you're stressing out about something that doesn't even matter.
Right.
It's like wrapping paper.
Oh,
My philosophy on wrapping paper is I go to Target and I buy the cheapest wrapping paper regardless of what's on it. Because nobody cares what's on their wrapping paper.
No.
So why are you spending like I bought a $2 roll of Avengers wrapping paper.
Right.
It has nothing Christmassy on it whatsoever. It's just pictures of the Avengers, and I was like, sweet. If I don't use it at Christmas, it's good year round.
Newspaper is
totally.
The best wrapping paper ever.
Totally. I don't get newspaper anymore, though. I could wrap it in like the free ads they put in your mailbox.
Yeah, you could. I could. My favorite wrapping paper would be the comic pages.
Yeah, I used to do that when I was a kid.
Because you're right. It's arbitrary. It's so arbitrary. And
and people waste time on stuff that nobody cares about, and it's all about ego.
It
because
is.
They want people to think they're really impressive. That they're the person who makes Christmas cookies for the whole town and like is the most important person. And I'm like, I'm so uninterested in that. Like, I'm just like, what? If I want to give you a present, I'm gonna. I don't want to feel obligated to. I don't have the money to, but I'm putting myself in hardship in order to give you something. To me, that's really fucked up.
Right. You put yourself
kind of opposite of Christmas, that you make yourself miserable.
The credit card Christmas. We got when we were in our 20s, we got wrapped up in that conundrum, and we've just now. I'm 43 years old, and I think we've only been paid off for that for like 4 years now.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not even worth it. Paid 15 years on a present that cost $10. You know,
it's so stupid. And my problem, which I'm sure is your problem, which is I'm going to a Christmas party at my parents' house, and it's 3 sisters and me.
Right.
I'm just a single person. All 3 of my sisters have kids and a spouse that's coming, and my parents are there. And so it's 3, 6, 7, 8. 8 kids.
Right.
8 adults. No, 10 adults. And so I'm like, I'm just not getting presents for any of the kids then. I'm making presents for all of the women. I bought something for my dad. The husbands can bite me. And, like, because that's all I have money for. And so it's like, like I made a bunch of jewelry for everybody. And that's what I can do. And I'm like, you know what? Then the kids don't get presents. But my nephew, who's the oldest, I made him a present.
Right.
And because he's, like, my best friend. And so I made him a present. And I made some jewelry for his sister, who's 19. So then this is the snowball. They have a little brother who's going to know that I got presents for his 2 older siblings, even though I made their presents. Can't make anything for him because I don't make anything he wants.
Right.
So then I buy him a present, and then it's a total. It's just like the snowball thing where it's like, but
it
then
doesn't stop.
It's
Pandora's box.
Now I bought presents for all of Carolyn's kids, but then Ramona's kids, and so now I'm just like. So now I have to take Carolyn's kids away from the party, like the day before, and give them their presents and tell them not to tell anybody I gave them presents, which is completely retarded.
It is, but you know, in the a lot of times the kids won't even care.
Oh no, they don't care at all.
No,
their moms might care, but if I gave all their cousins present in front of them, they would probably feel bad, and I don't want to make them feel bad. And so then I'm like, I know they don't care if I get them anything. I don't want them to feel bad. So then it's this whole like, well then I'm not giving you guys presents in front of the family because then people are going to start to feel bad, and I don't care, you know?
And
that's wwhy I think Christmas, that's why I've absconded from presents altogether more times than I've gotten presents.
It was actually kind of a weird step for us to take, is not start, because we would have the family get together and a gift exchange, and it would be drawing names.
Oh yeah, we did that for a brief moment.
Well, it's awkward because you'd always have that one family member and a couple family members that aren't really your favorite or might be on your shit list,
right?
And you draw their name.
Yeah.
And so we switched from that to basically we had boy-girl gifts, and we would draw numbers.
Oh, and do kind of like a white elephant?
Yeah,
but with nicer presents?
Yeah.
Right on.
But then it became like we had family members that basically didn't have any money whatsoever, and it's like they had to show up with something that they can't afford.
Right.
And we slipped into that category once or twice. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to show up and have fun, eat dinner, bring a pot.
Because really, like, to me, the whole point is to spend time together as a family.
Right.
And like, and the thing, and I know like people say Christmas is for kids, but the kids get more presents than they can ever possibly open. When I was in high school and I had nieces and nephews, and everyone was bringing presents for like 2 or 3 kids, I was like, I don't buy stuff for kids. I'll take the kid to the park.
Right.
And that's their present.
You know what?
They loved it so much.
The memory
better.
of that lasts a lot longer than the toy that broke 1 week later after opening it. Yeah.
But now it's like there's too many of them, and I don't live in the same area, and so I can't do that really.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do it with the kids that are here.
Right.
But yeah, it just becomes so complicated. Just such a waste of time.
So anyway, Leavenworth.
Sorry, back to Leavenworth.
We go up there. It's you know what, right now it's a really good time of year to go to Leavenworth because they got snow on the ground, and I think it's the last weekend of it. Telephone ringing. Who is it? Can you come back in a minute, please? So anyway, we go up there and they light the town in Christmas lights.
I saw some pictures you posted on Facebook.
It's beautiful. Now, I went up there. We're standing there, and there's this big fanfare, and I thought they were gonna light this huge tree.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there. I got my phone out. And I'm taking a video, and I got these 2 trees in the skyline. And and you hear the cymbals bang, and the trees are dark. I'm like looking at these trees, and I look around me. Oh, the town is lit up. So I totally missed it on my video.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
So you're like staring the wrong direction.
Right.
That's funny.
Oh man, it got silent in here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and
that was like the whole group together.
Every time we go.
I will never be that person who gets up on a Sunday morning and goes with a group of people to watch sports. Anyway.
You know what? I'm right there with you.
I tried it for a hot minute, and then I was like, forget this. I could be sleeping right now. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's fine.
It's just was one of those moments where I was like,
this is better.
Podcasting is better.
Podcasting is better.
And I'll get up at 8 a.m. to do this or to even watch a movie, but...
Like today, I come hungover to do the podcast.
You're so committed.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
So every time we go, when you go, there's a place called... And you can go any time of year. It's just as beautiful.
I've heard that. And I've heard sometimes like January and February is nice. Because the Christmas crowds clear out, but it's still
right.
Really
it's still actually really crowded.
Oh,
is
it?
It's really crowded all year round.
Crazy.
And in the summertime, they have all the rivers and the lakes around there to do stuff.
I'm going to have to plan a trip.
Lake Wenatchee is really close.
Wenatchee.
Yeah, Wenatchee. Wenatchee. But there's a place we always go to get a hot dog. The Munchin House. I'm standing in line. I'm talking to the people from the dry shitties there, and I said, "So you come to the Munchin House often?" He goes, "You mean the Munich House?"
I was just going to ask you.
And I go, am I pronouncing it wrong? Did I read it?
Was it the Munich House?
No, it's the Munchin House. I was like, I don't know how you read it, because once I got up to in line, I'm looking at the menu. I was like, so I am right.
Good.
It's spelled Munchen,
nice.
Munchin, and I was like, okay.
Well, and I wonder if Munchin spelled like that, if in German it means like from Munich or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I wonder, but I don't know.
So
Munich, Munchin. Yeah, I wonder.
I don't speak German, so but they got amazing hot dogs.
Awesome. Is it the hot dogs or are they like schnitzel? Or is it like in a bun?
They're hot dogs. They're in buns.
Oh, okay.
But you order them at the counter and you get the little coaster beeper thing, and you have to wait for your hot dogs.
Do they have like the big banquet tables, like
yes,
Bavarian
like
beer
this,
house
like
style?
the table we're sitting
at?
And it's It's in a courtyard
Right
that
on.
looks like it's indoors, but it's outdoors. So even in the
weird.
wintertime, you could be snowed on or rained on.
Weird.
And they have
I totally
heat.
want to go.
Heat
That
lamps.
sounds so fun.
It is fun, and
Yeah.
it's a great place to drink.
Right on.
Yeah.
There's a really good, if we ever decide to do in the pub and have an evening episode.
Ooh, we could do that.
Yeah, there's a really good German restaurant that, you can get the gigantic beers in Capitol Hill.
And the Steins?
Yeah, and it's really good.
Okay.
And it's not even that expensive, but it's a really, really nice place. It's usually really full, though.
There used to be a place I went to in Kent called, it's no longer there,
Mm-hmm.
it was called Moonrakers. And they had a half crafts or a craft, they called them Hummers. It was before Hummers was dirty.
Yeah. Do you remember that time?
Yeah.
When a Hummer was a car?
No, Hummer was a beer.
I'm going to get foul now. Not really foul. I'm just going to complain about people.
Okay.
So we went to my, what do you call it? Work Christmas party, which was the most socially backward group of people. Last year, I showed up at the time the party started at my boss's house and was the first person there for 45 minutes. Like, it was just me and my boss there for 45 minutes. Yeah. This year, I ended up being the last person there because I was like, oh yeah, I'm not leaving until like moments before because I'm not going to sit around and wait for people. And I brought wine. And so it was better.
Okay.
And I just was like, I just showed up and was like, I brought wine.
Social lubricant.
Seeing if it would go over. Because we have peer counselors who are in recovery. And so it's kind of a touchy thing at work. But like, my boss was cool about it and we had champagne and
cool.
did a white elephant. But like, it's a group of people that's like, the other clinician is like the dumbest person.
Okay.
She's quitting.
Okay.
And so I don't care anymore about saying that she's just the dumbest person I've ever met. And then me, and then my boss, who's great and super nice and really smart, but also like weirdly weird about things. Like she didn't vote for legalizing medical marijuana or legalizing marijuana.
Okay.
And she said it was because it's bad for some people. And I was like, if you don't understand why that's the most pointless reason to oppose it being legalized,
just because
everyone's getting it anyway.
Right.
So you're not, and just the fact that she like operates on that level that she thinks she gets to make decisions about what are good for other people. To me, I'm just like,
it's just the whole thing about prohibition never works anyway because it just creates a criminal element.
Exactly.
That's the only thing. So
whether you think other people's choices are good or not has nothing to do with whether you should make them legal or illegal.
Because it's not going to sway their decision to do things that are good for them.
And if weed has negative effects for like 5% of the people who use it, like that is so much lower than cigarettes and alcohol that it's no longer an issue. Yeah, exactly.
It's a moot argument. It's
a moo point.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite Friends jokes
Where
Joey thought that moot was moo.
Moo point.
He's like, no, it's moo.
It's moo point.
He's like, moo? I'm like, yeah, it's moo. Moo. Anyway, so like we're talking about, and then there's the peer counselors who are just hot messes. Like they're in recovery, they're barely functional, like they're just a complete mess. And then my friend Lynn, who's really awesome. And so anyway, the subject, I can't even remember what. Oh, the other clinician said she had to explain to somebody what tossing a salad was. And my boss was like, what's tossing a salad? And then we were laughing about it, and we started talking about like what it means, and like everyone was like acting so horrified, and I was like really? Who cares? Like why? Everyone just got so uptight about everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, who cares?
That came up from I watched that where it came
Where did it come from? I don't know.
I want to assume
I first heard it from my gay friends.
I heard it on Scared Straight.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Guy was talking about getting a salad tossed and how he'd like to use jelly.
Gross. It's so funny.
He'd like to use jelly.
Oh my gosh. But then it just was this party where everything was like so dumb, and I just it was
let's get crude a little bit here because it's fairly empty and there's only one small child over there.
Oh, good.
So for those who don't know, tossing your salad is getting your assy.
It's true.
So that's
licking the butthole.
Yeah.
And then my boss was like talking about how she said that's called rimming, and I was like, I know it's called a lot of things.
It's called It's
really okay, and
it's
people.
Called,
but then anyway, that whole conversation we started talking about like pornography.
Okay.
And I was making a point that everybody, like, there's a study that came out. This is what I was saying at the party. There was a study that came out in Canada, which has like, Canada is where most of the really good social science research comes from, because for some reason in Canada they put a lot of money into researching social issues.
Right.
And they put out a paper that was like, we have tried for 10 years to do a study on whether viewing pornography adversely affects your brain. And we have to, like, we're publishing now because we are canceling the study because we couldn't find enough people who had never viewed pornography to create a control group. Therefore, we have to conclude that pornography is so ubiquitous that it cannot adversely affect the brain, or we would see obvious trends in the general public because everybody views pornography.
They'd have to go, I think
they
would have to talk to 11-year-olds.
They could not find.
Are you serious?
Because the average age of the first time you view pornography is 9. Because people find it.
I want to, yeah.
It's 9 years old.
I want to say I probably was younger than that.
I remember the first time I saw nude pictures, and it was actually in Canada. I was on vacation with my friend, and they had Playgirls on the magazine rack, and we were kind of like, nah, and like flipped it open. We were like, and ran away. But it's just interesting. I was probably like 10, 11. I was in junior high. Or
nowadays,
5th or 6th grade.
Kids find it on the internet.
Oh, totally.
We found it in the woods.
And my point was that people assign a meaning to that that says the naked body and sexuality is bad and evil and wrong, and we have to put it in a closet. But really, everyone's interested in it. It's fascinating to people. There are cultures that just walk around naked and their kids aren't messed up. Yeah. It's the meaning you put into it that makes it it's scarring or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We run into this in our house. It's like when there's a rated R.
Oh, yeah.
When there's a rated R movie on, I purposely don't say what the rating is, and then we watch the movie, and then she'll go, what rating is this? I said, it's PG-13. And there's way more, like,
totally.
There's not really, it's not nudity, but like implied sexuality.
Oh, totally.
And
in PG-13 movies, that happens a lot.
And then I'll play in a rated R movie, and it has two fucks in it, and that's it. And
or like
that's
a couple
rated
of
R.
boobies, and
not even that.
Yeah.
Not even that. It was rated R for language.
Totally.
And so it's the rating system. We've all been over this before.
Right.
So
there's so many like nuances to it, because if kids, like, if you expose kids to things that are scarring to them, then it's scarring.
Right.
But just the fact that there's a boobie and a dong on it does not automatically make it scarring. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, kids experiment with sexuality so much more than adults are comfortable knowing about.
Right.
And it makes people really uncomfortable. But then if you really honestly look at yourself at that age, you go, oh yeah, I was going to the book nook down the street getting Harlequin romance novels because it had so much dirty stuff in it. And I was like reading about it because it was so interesting to me, and I was like, like, it was this world I didn't know anything about, and you're like exploring it at that age.
You're at the age where you were of that generation of, same as me, where we kind of more or less educated ourselves upon it, because it wasn't taught in schools that much. It was just barely getting taught in schools. Like,
I didn't hear about it in school until I was like in 8th or 9th grade, and then it was all STD stuff. 4th
grade is when Keegan first had his sexual.
Well, we had the you're gonna grow body hair talk, but I don't count that. But my parents gave us the book that was Where Did I Come From, which is the sex book for toddlers.
Oh, wow.
That was like a cartoon sperm with a top hat on, and it taught you how babies were made.
I think there's nothing wrong with that. Because it teaches a healthy. It allows the healthy boundaries to be built.
When things are taboo, it makes them more enticing, and I think it can contribute. When it's okay to talk about and it's in the open, it's less exciting.
So
you know what I mean? But so the end result of that conversation was then my boss getting really uncomfortable and saying that pornography is against women. That was her exact quote.
Really?
And I was like, oh God, like which sometimes it is because back in the day women were forced and drugged into pornography. I don't think that's happening anymore.
No,
and I think actually the solution to that is making pornography free. Because if you can't make money through it, then women aren't going to be forced into it.
And they're going to do it by choice.
Right. And so my solution is different from her solution. Her solution is
almost is free
pornography now. It is. It's getting, and actually, I was reading a while ago that people are making less and less money on porn. Yeah. And to me, that's how it should be, because there's people out there who want to make porn, and there's people out there who want to watch it, and you just pair those people up. Right. And then nobody's being exploited. Right. And who cares? Like at that point, it is a victimless crime.
Right, it is victimless crime, yeah.
But if you look at things like Linda Lovelace, who was, her husband, she was the star of Deep Throat. There's a movie on Netflix called Lovelace that is about
I think I watched bits of it where she was saying that when she was doing those movies, she was actually being raped.
Yeah, totally. And he was, physically abusing her and forcing her into it. And that's super tragic and really messed up. But like that, the solution to that isn't to crack down and not let people do it, because that causes those situations. Because in the 70s, it was really like a nefarious group of people who were basically organized crime doing it. And that's when you have the problem. It's the prohibition.
Right.
It's the same issue. Exactly. Totally.
Prohibition. Prohibition anywhere doesn't work.
No. It causes more problems than it.
Crime.
Yes.
Creates victims.
It does. It creates a system where you can exert power over vulnerable people easier. Right. And that's always wrong. That's why like polygamous groups. Like in Southern Utah, which, they're in secret and they're hiding from the government, thinking they're not doing anything wrong. Yeah. But the longer they're in secret, the more messed up stuff they do and start marrying 14-year-old girls.
Didn't they? Yeah. Didn't they just bust up like a ranch? Yeah. A ranch where they
busted Warren. It was like Warren Jeffs. They caught him in Las Vegas when I lived there. He was like the head of this big group. But I think the reason, because originally they were just people who were like, hey, there's 3 women that don't have husbands and I have a lot of land. Why don't I take them on as my family and help everyone? But the longer you stay in secret, the more men are like, oh, but I want to marry a 14-year-old girl. And then you create
that's when the perverse comes out. Yeah.
Because nobody's paying attention to what you're doing. Right. And you think you can get away with stuff. And it's too much, secrecy. Right. I think everything should be out in the open and everybody should know everything about everything. And then everybody would be fine.
Exactly.
And we're getting there.
Oh, yeah.
There's almost no secrets anymore.
That in a way is good, and I don't think there's any harm from coming from being totally transparent.
No, I don't think so either. I live my life in a totally transparent way where I'm like, I don't care who knows what about me. And it has always served me really well. Yeah. Because really, I don't know, I have one of those
families. They can't dig anything up to hurt you with.
And I have one of those families where it's like, oh, don't tell this person, but this is going on. And I'm always I think of myself as the center of the spokes. Me too. Because I'll hear the same story from 5 different people. But everybody will say don't say it. Everyone says don't tell anybody. And then every time I say, I've already heard this from 4 other people, and then they go, oh, well, then everybody knows. And I'm like, yeah, so why do you care if everybody knows? Everybody already knows.
Just tell the person.
Who cares?
Don't tell this person, but.
Right.
How about you go talk to that person about your problem? Why are you taking issue? Why are you bringing your issue to me?
Right. And sometimes, almost all of the time, the reason is it's about somebody having a hard time. Whether it's financially or, it's some kind of gossip about that. And I'm like, why? If they are so uncomfortable with family knowing that they're going through a tough time.
But how do you know?
Exactly. Because one person gets told and then they tell everybody. And I'm like, then why are we keeping this a secret? Right. It seems stupid to me. But.
Yeah, it's. Okay. Have you seen any good movies lately?
I am about to see American Hustle this afternoon. I was going to see it this week, but my friend got sick, and so I waited for her because we both want to see it.
Yeah, I've only heard of it. I'm totally unfamiliar with the movie.
Well, we were going to do trailers last time, but we ended up talking about schizophrenia for a half an hour. I was going to have them watch.
Who's in it?
American Hustle is directed by David O. Russell, who directed Silver Linings Playbook and I Heart Huckabees and several other movies that I love. He's one of my favorite directors. And it's Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Amy Adams, and Christian Bale.
Okay.
And it's set in the 70s.
Okay.
And it's kind of a con artist heist movie.
Okay.
I'm very excited about it. And I heard from my old mentor, who's the chair of the film department at UNLV, he thinks it's Best Picture.
Okay.
And I was like, yes! And he's seen a lot of like The Wolf of Wall Street, which is supposed to be really good, which is the new Martin Scorsese movie, and he thinks that American Hustle is better than Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. Now, is that the one with
Jonah Hill, Leonardo DiCaprio? It's the guys who work on Wall Street who are basically like
I've seen the trailer for that one.
It looks really good.
He goes, I made $49 million last year, but I'm sad because it's $3 million less than $1 million a week.
Right. Yeah, it looks really good. So that's the next movie I'm going to see, and then I'm saving The Hobbit and Anchorman 2 to watch with my nephew when I'm home next weekend.
You will like The Hobbit.
I know this because it could just be hobbits like dancing in a circle, and I'd be like, yay!
Well,
Plus you get Smaug, and Smaug is the best.
It is definitely the action part of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
It is the core of where they're really getting into and you get to see Smaug.
Yes.
And it's good. It's a good. I won't say any more if you haven't seen it, but.
I'm very excited. Did you know who Stephen Colbert is, correct?
Yeah.
Did
Colbert
you
Report.
See him? Yes. Did you see him in the movie at all? I'm just asking. I don't think he's in it, but I'm a huge fan of his, and on his show, he spent 2 weeks in New Zealand while they were shooting, hanging out with the cast.
He might have been an extra somewhere.
But you didn't notice him?
I didn't notice. There was so much.
I wondered, though, if he was going to do a cameo in the movies somewhere. He might even be, like, way at the end.
He might be in the third one.
He's had the entire cast on his show, both when The Hobbit came out last year and this year, and he's, like, the most hardcore Tolkien fan of all time. Yeah. Like, he was talking about how while he was visiting the cast, they did a Tolkien trivia off that was Peter Jackson, the two guys who adapted the script with Peter Jackson, and Stephen Colbert, and he won.
Oh wow!
Even though those three people have been researching Tolkien for all of these movies for a decade.
Yeah, a decade. Yeah.
Stephen Colbert won the trivia challenge because he is that hardcore, which actually made me want to be that knowledgeable about something. It kind of inspired me, but I haven't figured out what my thing is.
What other books has he written other than The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings?
There are several others that are much less well known. One of them starts with an S. It's called like the Septuagint or something like that. And there's a few other like Middle Earth things. Like there's a book of like sonnet type poems that were written in Middle Earth. There's a lot of other stuff.
When I was in middle school, I read a lot of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. I think are based on his. Yeah. On his writings, but I don't think he wrote it.
No, I don't think so, because his stuff is pretty beefy. Yeah. But the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit are really the best
the
ones.
Epics.
Yeah, but there's other ones that are pretty interesting.
I will say this: we saw it in IMAX 3D, and it was definitely worth the price.
Was it? Yes. Everyone says that. It's never true.
It is good.
I'm gonna just see it in regular, and I'll tell you whether I like it or not.
I've heard.
I'm sure I'll like
it. It's just as good as because it's high definition now. It's. You're not going to be disappointed. The colors. I always like those kind of period type movies. Yeah. And see how their interpretation of how those times were, and I like it. It's really nice and gritty and real. Like you could I actually feel like there was a place like that.
Cool.
Well, there probably was.
Does Gollum show up in this one? no, that was at the end of the
That was
first
the
one.
that's when he got the ring.
That's right.
I don't know if he.
I forgot that for
I
some
don't know if
reason.
he's in there anymore. I don't think
I
he's
don't
in
think
there.
he is, because I think that the only place he shows up is when Bilbo steals the ring.
Right.
And then I think that's it.
Where he's eating that ogre or the orc. He's eating that guy.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, the cartoon of The Hobbit, it terrified me. And there were certain parts that really scared me, and the scariest part were the trolls around the campfire.
Oh, singing?
Yeah, and that part where they're trying to eat him and then they turn stone.
Oh, right. I remember, yeah.
Terrifying in the cartoon.
Yep.
Yeah, it was, or were they goblins? No,
they were trolls.
Yeah,
trolls
because
were the ones
can't
that
be
can't
in
be in the
sunlight.
sunlight.
Anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've talked to who've seen it, who aren't Tolkien fans, didn't really like the first Hobbit because it was so slow.
Right.
And I was like, but you have to tell, it's a story, and you can't just jump in and not know who these people are.
Right.
You got to learn, there's
it's a whole new
characters.
group of people. Well, and I don't care if they liked it or not, because I consider these the fans' version.
Right.
Yeah, totally. These are like for people like me who just want to see more Middle Earth. And I don't care what's happening. I just want to see more Middle Earth.
It's visually stunning.
Cool.
Yeah, it is way cool.
Because this is where you get to the village, right? That's being attacked by Smaug. Or do you ever get there? Or is that very end?
I'm gonna say.
Okay. Because that was cool in the cartoon. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it does. You're talking about Lake Town?
Yeah, Lake Town.
Yeah, you get to see that town.
Cool.
I'm not gonna say whether or not it's being attacked by Smaug.
Awesome. Okay.
You'll find out.
I think it is called the Desolation of Smaug.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that they get him in this movie.
They are really good. The Smaug is very good.
And I've only seen the preview where the eye opens, and it gives me goosebumps, but I haven't seen
shines the
all
light.
of him, and I'm like, yes, I'm so excited. Yeah, my nephew and I are seeing that and Anchorman 2 in a double feature next weekend.
Oh, man.
So
I like Anchorman as well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the...
I've heard... you haven't seen the second one? I've heard that it's totally, like... It's not life-changing, but it is very satisfyingly more Anchorman. Like, you won't be disappointed, and you'll laugh a lot.
I'm just afraid that
all I
whenever
need.
they hype a movie like that, they've been really running the shit out of the character, and he's in everything right now. And so that always puts me off on a movie. Yeah, because it's like it never lives up to the hype.
I know. But a couple of the guys at my gym were talking about having seen it, and they just said, like, you'll just laugh and it's good and you won't worry about it. And I'm like, awesome. He's like, you won't think it's stupid. If you like the first one, you'll like the second one, but it's not so much better that you're like, oh, this is the greatest movie ever. You will just feel really happy you got to see those people again, and there's a lot of good laughs. And I was like, perfect. That's all I need.
And then plus Steve Carell's in this one too.
He was in the first one.
Was he in the first one?
He was in the first one before he was a name, and so you may not have noticed him. He was I Love Lamp. He's that character, I Love Lamp.
Okay.
He was the one who they thought might secretly be developmentally disabled.
Oh, right.
The one who asks Christina Applegate to go to the party in his pants, and he's like, I'm having a pants party. Would you like to attend? And she's like, do you mean
I remember that now.
There's a party in my pants? Do you want to come? He was like, yes.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, he's great. But that was Steve Carell was in a bunch of movies where I think he stole the movie before he became the big name that he is now.
Right.
So, like, if you go back and watch Bruce Almighty, he steals that entire movie because he's so funny.
Right.
Like, his scenes are so perfect that, like, for a long time, I would always talk about, like, what? Remember that guy from Bruce Almighty? The other one? He's so funny.
Yeah, I think he was funnier as that kind of role than he was in a main leading role.
I agree. Like, I love Steve Carell and like him in his lead roles, but he's so much funnier as the bit character, except in for 40-Year-Old Virgin.
I never saw it.
Oh, really? You should totally see it. It's really good. But it's the first time he's the main character, but he's playing a guy who's super weird. Okay. And so it's almost like he's the side character, but as though the whole movie's about the side character. Okay. And he's really, really funny in it. But
I have to watch it now.
I like him more when he's playing the really socially awkward parts. No. Even in, like, Dinner for Schmucks. Did you ever see Dinner for Schmucks? He's really good.
I might have. I don't remember though.
He's the schmuck who I think Paul Rudd brings him to the dinner.
Right.
And he like makes these tiny models of little
that.
dead mice.
It was almost it was
like,
a little sad.
Yeah, it was super sad. But like that movie was like not super great, but there's stuff in it that I think is really funny. Good. But his character, like when he plays those kinds of parts, he's so good at being like believable as the weirdo, but like the lovable weirdo.
You know,
where it kind of makes you sad.
Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2.
I love those.
I do too. I told my wife, I was like, that's Steve Carell. No way. I was like, yeah, that's him.
It's one of those things like Shrek, where it's a famous person doing an accent,
right.
And then it's like, well, what was the point of having the Steve Carell when you can't even tell it's him? But he's so funny. I love those movies.
And also, what's his name? The British guy.
Russell Brand?
Russell Brand, yeah, he's in that too.
Russell Brand is nuts.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I mentioned I wanted to give. We're almost out of time.
Okay, all right.
I wanted to give a quick update on boxing.
Okay.
Excuse me, sorry. Anyway, I went boxing 4 times this week.
Wow.
4 times.
Are you sore?
No.
Okay.
Surprisingly, Monday I showed up for my private, and my coach had been working nonstop since the morning, and he was like, "Do you mind if we switch to a different day because I need to eat food because I feel like I'm gonna die?" And I was like, "Fine, like go eat food." And then I stayed at the gym and worked out. So then Tuesday I had my private. Then Thursday night I went back for my makeup private, and then Friday they started a new
makeup private.
I made up. It's with like my private.
We had a fight and we had makeup private.
And then Friday they have this new beginning boxing class that's a group class, and it's like Friday was the first time they did it, and so I went to that even though I'm not technically a beginner. I'm scared to go to group classes because they're really intense, and I feel like it'll be too much for me. And so I've been nervous about going. So I went to that class as kind of my like, I'm gonna try this and see if I like it or not.
So you kind of audited it.
Yeah. But it ended up being. I mean, it was really hard because it's an hour long, and I don't know. And I'm not super sold on the classes because I kind of don't. I don't know. When it's working out with a whole bunch of other people, I try to keep up with people, and sometimes I shouldn't, and then I push myself too much, and then I get like kind of or I just get like overloaded, and then I have to stop, and and I don't like it as much because I'm I'm too worried about what other people are doing, and I feel really self-conscious, and so I get way more done when it's just me and my coach because I'm just competing with myself. Right. You're and sometimes I I get to a point where I'm like doing as much as I can, and I'm like sweating and like feeling like I'm gonna die. And
intense.
It's really intense, but I never get that way in a class because I will like worry about getting.
It pulls you out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not really. Yeah.
So like for example, this class I kind of like did too much at a certain point, and then like stopped breathing right, and then got kind of overloaded and got a cramp, and it was like all this stuff, but I didn't get as good of a workout as I do when I'm on my own. So I was like, I don't think this is I think actually like my privates are the best way to go.
Privates. I used to do spinning class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it is a group, but what made it easier to do is like concentrate on the teacher. So it was kind of a little bit more one-on-one.
Because it's hard to see what other people are doing.
Right, because they're in your peripheral.
Yeah, totally.
They're not in front of you.
That's nice. I like that.
What messed me up is when I started getting good, or I thought I was getting good, I would focus on the teacher.
Yeah.
And then there behind the teacher's a mirror.
Oh.
And then I caught a glimpse of myself. I was like, oh my God, I look ridiculous. So the whole time, that I just had to quit because I couldn't stop looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, is my form right? Oh my God, look at my butt. I was just like,
that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, and the boxing gym is one giant mirror. Like there are mirrors everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I'm it is the least attractive place on planet Earth. Because,
that's the thing about going to the gym is I avoid the mirrors.
Yeah,
it's
especially
really hard to
when
do.
it's like you're doing jumping jacks, staring into a mirror, and it's like every part of your body that moves, you're just like
moving. Yeah.
And I'm always like staring at the floor while I do it.
Yeah, me too.
I say it's for balance, but really it's because I'm like, I can't watch my body.
I don't like the I don't like the jiggly bits.
Totally.
And everything is a jiggly bit.
I know. But I think I'm actually gonna keep going to the beginning class for a couple of weeks because I want to, like, I don't know, it's good. I noticed that at the 40-minute mark, it became really difficult because usually I go 10 minutes early and get on the bike and then do a half hour. And so that's what I've gotten used to. And so I'm going to start going to the hour-long thing just to kind of stretch my
That's your
abilities.
plateau. That's where you hit your plateau.
Yeah. And I think that's good, but
cool.
But my coach really long term wants me to eventually switch to the group classes to do the hour and to kind of push myself. And I'm like, I just like doing the privates. I don't know. I might want to just stick with this for a while.
It's fun to say.
I know it is. And I gave him the button that said, "Ask me about my privates."
Yeah.
He had a good chuckle about it.
That's cool. So you liked the gift, I take
He did, yeah.
Okay, cool.
He thought it was really funny, and he told me about how...
Does he listen?
No,
It'd be cool if he did.
It would be cool.
Have you told him about it?
Yeah, I've told him about it. I don't think he listens. He would mention it because we talk about boxing constantly, so I'm sure he would mention it.
Challenge him.
He
if
works
you listen to this, let
20
me know.
hours a day. He manages the gym. He's always at the gym. It's crazy.
That is insane.
It's totally crazy. Yeah. And he's in training because he boxes, so it's kind of good for him, I think.
He's a fighter too, though.
Yeah, all the trainers are fighters.
Flattened?
No.
No,
yeah, he doesn't look like... It's Olympic-style boxing, though. It's not
so they wear headgear and stuff. Okay,
it's not like brawling. But anyway, he was telling me all these jokes about how he makes fun of the other guys. Like, one of the other coaches' name is Russell, and he's like, I'm always like... I don't know. I'm trying to separate Russell's privates, but I just can't. I was like, that's a good one.
Are you hitting him on the right spot? Hit him in the center instead of the side because they knock together.
It was so funny. Anyway, so that's my boxing update. Is I'm getting so much better, and
cool.
So
how's your energy level? Is it up
really
more?
Good.
It's up more. Yeah.
It's almost like it's not like the boxing is easy now. But my body has become accustomed to it, so my recovery time is like nothing.
Okay.
I'm by the time I get home, I feel like I'm totally back to normal, which is a big change from a month or two ago, where I still needed I needed to go home and relax and stretch and take a hot bath.
Sleep.
Yeah, and now I'm pretty much I did Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
So it was 2 sets of 2 days in a row. And both times, the second day, I was perfectly fine to go do it again.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna try to stick to 4 workouts a week. But I think one of the 4, I'm gonna make it a pool day so that I can get a little cross training.
Oh, they have pool in? Do you have a pool too, or no?
No, but there's a lot of city pools that are really inexpensive, and so I was thinking of getting a card for a city pool and doing laps, kind of to give my joints
just make sure
a rest.
There's not a lot of kids in there.
It's true. Yeah. The one in Tukwila has a kids pool and an adult lap pool. They're separated.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Cool.
It's only $3 a time if you get a 10-class card.
Oh, really?
If you go one time, it's $4.
I remember it used to be 75 cents.
I'm sure. But that was probably 1982.
It was 71.
So I'm going to try to get a little cross-training in, but and I'm giving up wine for a while. I know. Don't be sad. It's because...
You'll be back.
I know. I'll totally be back. But my problem is that, I'm off carbs, except I have pretty much a glass of wine every other day or 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just enough sugar that it's messing with my being off carbs.
Well,
and so I'm going to just cut that out for maybe a month and see if it makes a difference.
Alcohol retards muscle.
It does.
Yeah.
And it messes with your liver's ability to process fats. And there's a lot of reasons why I'm I think I should just, because to me it's a glass of red wine is no big deal.
Right.
But I'm that might be something that's making, because everything else I'm doing awesome at.
Right.
And so I'm I'm probably just going to see if that makes a difference of just saying no wine at all.
Right.
And see how that goes.
See, my problem is that I'd have to swear off wine if I did it, because one glass would be 3 glasses.
Right. Oh, well, when I say 1 glass, I don't mean a 4-ounce glass. I mean a full...
half a bottle.
Yeah. No. Well, I fill my wine glass. Yeah. There's all that space in there.
Yeah, I know. I never got that where you put it at the glass.
Like the little, just like squirt of wine at the bottom.
Like,
no.
Well, how come they didn't make the glass smaller if that's how much wine you're supposed to put in?
I know, it's true.
It's you're getting a shot of wine instead of a glass.
So really, my 1 glass is more like 2.5 or 3 glasses.
It's a half a bottle.
It's like an 8-ounce glass, not a 4-ounce glass.
Yeah.
So.
Which it should be.
Totally. If I'm gonna drink 1 glass, like 1 true glass.
Yeah.
Why drink it at all? Why not just have some water? Yeah. It's going to be better for you. Yeah. You're not going to catch a buzz off 4 ounces anyway.
Yeah,
so why drink
it's
it
enough
at all?
to make me angry.
I know.
Just enough like, I want more wine.
I do really enjoy wine though with certain dishes as like the, like the completing the meal kind of thing.
Right. Do you ever pair like reds with
sometimes not well, but if I eat say I have like a roast. Right. That's really good with a glass of red wine.
I'd never cared enough to learn what goes with what.
Yeah. All I know is white fish, red beef. That's the only thing
What's chicken?
I've learned.
Pink?
I don't know.
Oh.
You shouldn't be eating pink chicken.
Pink
That's
wine.
Salmonella. Oh, pink wine. That's
like
funny.
a rosé, yeah.
I do like a good
blend,
rosé.
A blend.
Yeah. So that's my next phase of my boxing thing is now I've been off carbs for about a month. I've lost like 10 pounds, but I think I've put on like 8 pounds of muscle. It has been really good for my bulking up.
Well,
I'm starting to get ripped.
Muscle burns fat.
Yeah, that's true.
It will just do it.
Totally.
One more thing.
Yeah.
I shaved my beard.
You did shave your beard. I didn't notice because you're back to your what I think of you as default.
Yeah, I look like I threw a hair on my chin. That's what it looks like.
That's a really pleasant thought. It's called.
I made the lady at the end of the table laugh. I got to. It was like a feral cheetah pet on my face.
Yeah. It was pretty intense. Yeah. This is called a Van Dyke, though, right? Not a goatee, because a goatee is.
I have to have the mustache, and I can't.
Do. But if you don't, or is it? Is it the other way around?
I don't
There's
know.
Something.
The goatee, I know it has a mustache involved.
So then I think this is called a Van Dyke, which is just the chin with no mustache.
Yeah, and
I learned this from watching that documentary Manson.
I hate mustaches. That's what that's what drove me. I'd get these bizarre smells, and I'm like, what's that smell? And there'd be something in my mustache.
Oh, well, that's good though.
And nobody would tell me. I'd have a piece of cheese on my mustache.
Yeah, people aren't very helpful.
No, there was
good.
usually because
I had back to normal to me.
I feel normal.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't get any bad compliment or bad. People would say it looks good, but it was itchy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just not a beard guy.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to be.
No.
So there you go.
This way. I am lazy. I don't like to shave, but I don't like beards, so I guess I have to shave.
Yeah, that's the double.
Plus, we already have a beard. We already have a beard in the podcast.
It's true, and Rick's is hard to compete with. I heard though, I want to say Rick said he was going to change his beard, and I can't remember what.
I hope he dyes
We'll have to talk to him next week. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Well, he told me he was going to dress up like Santa to go to work one day. At UPS as like a Christmas thing, and he was gonna like powder his beard white and wear a red sweatshirt. Oh. And I thought that was a great idea.
That would have been really cool.
But I haven't talked to him since then, so I don't know if he actually did it.
I think
we'll have to ask him next week.
I think he should dye it purple.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
He's got such a great beard. He should always have it. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
But he goes through things where he'll shave it off for a while and then grow it back.
Yeah. I'll probably grow mine back. I'm fickle.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't have to commit to anything. No. That's the nice part.
That's the beauty part about having razors.
Yep, true that.
Yeah.
Well, next week I think we're going to, Rick has a documentary. Did you get the documentary he emailed? He did it in a really weird way. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
That's called The Search for Satan. It's from the BBC. It's really entertaining.
Oh, no, I didn't get it.
It's about how the folklore and story of Satan as a human, or not a human, but a persona of evil has evolved through time.
Okay.
And it's really entertaining. I'll post it on our Facebook page as well so people can watch it because it's on YouTube. But it's from the BBC, and he wanted to talk about that next week because next week's his week. So we can have a pretty interesting conversation about evil and all that good stuff, which is a nice follow-up to Christmas, I think.
That would be, and we can talk about the anti-Santa too, because there's I guess there's
weird.
what's his name? It starts with a K.
Yes. What is his name? I heard about this though.
He looks like a goat man.
Yes.
Yeah, and he kidnapped children and take them to hell and stuff.
We should talk about that next week too.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted, but we've run out of time, to talk about New Year's resolutions. So we'll have to talk about that next week.
That's our New Year's resolution, to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Exactly. So we can talk about that next week.
That'd be perfect because it's just before New Year's.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
That we'll do all resolutions all the time. So.
I think that sounds great.
Are we done?
If you want to be.
How much more time?
To give that plug for next week. I mean, we're 10 minutes over. If you have something else you want to talk about,
I know we've been plugging Q Dot.
Yeah.
And
I totally forgot.
You know what? I was gonna be mad at him, but this guy, he actually comes and he tells me.
Don't be mad at him.
I wasn't. Because I was like, had he just blown me off?
Yeah.
I would have been really pissed, and I would have been on a slam on him. But he actually comes across and said, "Things are just crazy." And it's the holidays. And football season.
Yeah.
Guys in Seattle get nuts over football.
It's true.
So I'll give him
another chance.
Yeah, we'll try and reschedule him on my next time around.
Right on. I'm sure we'll connect with him at some point because it seems like he really wants to come on, and we want to have him on. So. Yeah. We'll make it work at some point.
We'll get something rolling.
Cool.
He seems like a good guy. And his music is half decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk, because it seems to me like he does quite a few different things.
Yeah.
Is he West African?
Is he?
I don't know. One of his songs made me think he might be from like Nigeria.
Seemed like maybe he's descended. I don't know.
Maybe his family comes from there.
Maybe a reason why he's been rescheduling, because I haven't really done all that much research other than listening to his YouTube videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'll do more homework on him that way. I'm not ignorant when he comes in here.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right. Until next time.
Yay! Thank you for listening.
Yeah. This is the coffee shop, from the coffee shop.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!